in the West, in these modern times, school as a whole is pretty much a scam. It's not valuable. It's not useful. It isn't helpful to the kids that are being indoctrinated into the school system. And I'm talking from grade school all the way to high school and all the way to college. It's pretty much a massive waste of resources, a waste of time, and it's a huge sink as far as money is concerned too. Like, it's basically a pipeline to turn a child into a slave. And it's pretty crazy that it's come out to be this way. I was researching stuff about the Prussian school system way back in olden times, and that it was literally designed to train, country uneducated bumpkins how to work in a factory. And so factories run by, you have to learn a skill, you have to sit close to each other in an assembly line, you have to take your break when the bell rings, you have to start work again when the bell rings, and you need to follow what your teachers tell you to do, and then you got to go home and then come back and do it again 5 days a week for 8 hours every day. And that's literally what we do. We're training little factory workers. And in and of itself, it's not a bad thing. I mean, job's a job. But it's ultimately realizing that the school itself is not what we're told that it is. That, oh, we're teaching you how to do math. We're teaching you how to do this knowledge that you're receiving from us is so important. It's like, no, the knowledge is actually the system that we're put into and we're taught to behave a certain way, not the actual knowledge we're being taught. Because let's be real. Do you remember any of the main things that you were taught in school, like specifically about mathematics or specifically about science? Do you remember all the valences and covalences of atoms or molecules or whatever the fuck? Do you remember all of it, other than mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell? But other than that, do you remember 90% of what you were taught in school? Hell to the no, you don't. Unless you're like a genius, unless you were really passionate about it, unless you got a photographic memory or you're autistic or something like that, you're not going to remember it. The average person is not. And that's because it doesn't matter. And especially when you go to college, the vast majority of what you learn in college is a complete waste of time. And it's crazy because most of us don't remember what we learned there either, except for maybe a major skill that we trained to finally have a job. But like the actual undergrad, we don't remember half that shit. I don't remember statistics and like how to do all that shit. Like maybe some, bigger overarching points, some ideas, but other than that, you don't, I don't. And we paid tons of money for that too. That's the crazy thing. We're going into debt, we're becoming debt slaves, and then we go straight to work, and then now we are doing what we were doing in school, but now we're just doing it for a boss. And getting a job is great, and that's wonderful, but the point is that the amount of time that we spend in school, the amount of money that we spend on an education could have been used so much more efficiently, so much more wisely, and to so much more benefit for the actual kids, for you and me. And when you're a kid, you're just doing what you're told to do, right? Like you don't understand. You're just being told you have to go to this place and you have to sit down and shut up and you have to follow the rules. And if you don't follow the rules or you're uninterested, you're a bad kid and you're bad and you're dumb and you're not smart. And you should be more like little Susie. You should be like little Timmy that, follows the rules and just does what he's told. And, it causes massive problems psychologically and otherwise. And now things are starting to change, but it's not at the government level. And I think that that's kind of important to understand, that the school system is completely political. It's politicized. It very much is not going to change in any major way unless a lot of people are fired. Teachers unions and all that shit, especially in the United States. And the United States, if you notice, is, also producing the most retarded kids ever. Like, we're just behind on everything. Like, all the other schools around the world, kids are testing way better, doing way better. So obviously the American school system is trash. But it's not going to change politically, I think, for a long time. And what's sad is you're going to have to educate yourself, or you're going to have to educate your kids on top of whatever, bullshit is happening at the public school level. If you can homeschool your kids, that's awesome, but most likely you're not going to be able to do that because everybody has to work. But the really only answer to this problem is that you're going to have to educate your kids on what actually matters. Like, having a bank account, how to manage money, how to talk to people in social situations, how to be courteous, or if you want to teach them an actual job skill, sales, or whatever, finance, stuff that matters, how to live your life, how to pay your bills, shit, even just how to do your fucking laundry, just how to I don't know, change the oil in a car or something like that. Real basic stuff of how to live, how to survive, nutrition, stuff like that. All of that is way more important than anything that the school system is teaching. And you're going to have to teach that to your kid. And I think there's a huge demand for that. You hear online, tons of people are complaining. Well, I wish school taught me how to do this or taught me how to do that. They just teach us a bunch of bullshit. Well, you're going to have to learn that on your own. And I think that more and more kids are starting to learn that school is really retarded, that it is really just a tool to brainwash the kids for whatever political bullshit is coming down the pipeline that they want them to believe. And a lot of kids don't wake up, but there are some kids that are like, this is stupid, this is dumb. And there's always been that, right? We're not gonna take it. No, we're not gonna take it. Or like, hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. Like that kind of attitude definitely has been around for a long time. But I think with the internet, it's growing maybe a little bit stronger because kids have alternatives now. And that's the cool thing. Like the website School, SKOOL, where people are starting their own schools, teaching different things. And of course, it's a bunch of how to make money and it's how to get girls or whatever. But that's where the demand is. The demand is in education. Education is extremely important. It's just that whatever the state offers or whatever's required or the university system is by and large trash and just a money-making debt slave machine. And the real education is going to be done online. The real education is going to be done by young guys or girls going out and finding mentors that are actually doing the thing that they actually want to do and just listening to them. And I've heard a lot of people say this, but it is kind of true. It's kind of like school is a prison, that as soon as you are like, 4, 5, 6 years old, you're immediately put into prison and you are being put into that prison mentality and you have to do your time, right? Which is sad because it's like legally required. But you have to do your time, and when you come out the other end, you're really not any better for it. So if parents can figure out how to explain this to kids while it's happening to them, which is sad, and a lot of parents, they can't afford to homeschool, but if they can tell their kids, yeah, this is what you have to do. I know it's terrible, but here's the things that it actually matters. See if you can get your kids tutors and all of that stuff that will teach them actual skills that actually matter. spend time with your kids, listen to what they're being taught in school and all the, rainbow bullshit that is kind of like warping their minds as they're kids and they're growing and they're uncomfortable in their bodies. Duh, they're going to be uncomfortable in their bodies. Like, catch them, pay attention. And then you just have to realize that you cannot just, oh, well, the school will do it. Oh, well, college will teach them. They'll get a degree. Like, no, they're not. Unless you're studying to be a doctor, which legally requires you to have a degree in order to practice, or, some kind of medical field, or a lawyer where like you legally have to have the degree in order to do what you want to do, don't do it. Don't go to school, don't go into debt, or don't just send your kid blindly and say, yeah, go be a debt slave. Just go ahead and do it. And you'll have to pay this off for the rest of your life. And you're going to have to be a wage slave in order to pay that off and then survive and pay these taxes. So yeah, just go ahead, go do it. I always wanted to get a higher education and be a debt slave myself. So you should too. Don't do that. Or if you're in the position, don't do it to yourself. There's plenty of ways to make money. There's plenty of ways to survive. And school is just a complete failure in the West. And it does not teach you how to live a strong, independent life, especially for a young man. I mean, that's why most young men are dropping out now. That's why the numbers are completely skewed from the way it used to be, where men used to dominate, and that's pretty much all men were in higher education and very few women. And then now it's completely flipped. There's a reason. Because the men have realized that it's a scam and that it's a waste of time, and they're not wanted there either. They're going to have teachers talking about patriarchy and the evils of men and et cetera, et cetera. It's just like, why am I here? Why am I listening to this bullshit? That's why men are dropping out. And so things are changing, but ultimately you have to take education into your own hands. If you want to make it in this world, if you want to actually be something more than just, in debt, paying off your student loans, working a shitty job, you can never really get ahead. If you want to be more than that, you have to take education seriously, but realize that you have to seek out the education yourself. And that's it.